Yeah,
argue
he
with
really
that.
Sherlock.
Yeah, he Sherlock's.
He's like, I noticed you were holding it because it was heavy. It's like, how did
that
what?
scene is the one where it started to feel like it was like this is like creeping up to like old school dramatic film, and that's when I was like, yeah, this is a remake. Like, go back and watch that scene. Like, it feels different. It feels a little bit like, well, hey, I'm gonna like, it's a little bit of this like, look here, see, this is a remake, see, and we're just doing a little homage here for this
I hate that I understand exactly what you're saying right now because you're articulating it just by saying gibberish.
What was that nice little beat we had going?
Yeah, what was the beat?
Votary Crunchcast.
So hard.
All right.
Because I'm not chewing intermittently, so now there's a ton of popcorn in my mouth.
Yeah, you're eating on beat though. At least it was, hopefully not as annoying as just
we should try and pitch that and sell it to like AMC theaters. They have that cheesy like welcome to the theater.
Pitch
so it's
what
like,
we just did.
Soda. Yeah. Pitch that,
They would
making
love
that
it.
into a full song, but all the beat and the sounds are all made back.
I feel like AMC is kind of extra with their intros.
So extra.
Have you noticed? Oh, AMC is
They're so
very
extra.
intense.
Or
Very intense.
they,
there's like a metaverse.
X plus.
There's those little characters that like are going through all of cinema history. Kind of.
Yeah, it's a
And
little-
there's
What? I haven't seen that.
Those little
I never go to
balls.
AMC.
Ball
now
people.
now they're on like
AMC's
a roller coaster where
What-
you
I
what
saw this
AMC do you
movie.
go to?
I saw this
Soda.
movie in AMC.
Which
And-
one?
Nightmare Alley.
No, which AMC?
I don't know, the one that's close by.
There is no one close by.
It's like a 40-minute drive.
There's Blackstone.
Yeah, Framingham. Yeah.
Okay, just say
that's-
Framingham.
I don't remember if
But there's that guy who's holding popcorn that it's a horror movie. He goes, whoa, he throws it everywhere. It's so extra.
the Nicole Kidman ad.
Oh, that
It
was
really feels depressing that Nicole Kidman is doing that. I'm like,
Yeah.
it just makes me like, you did like Eyes Wide Shut, and now you're doing this.
Oh.
Like decades later.
Luke, could I have some of your soda?
Dude, we have so many sodas.
I don't want to drink a whole one. That's bad for my health.
I feel that. I never finish a whole soda.
So remind me what Nightmare Alley was, because I saw it a little while
Wait,
ago.
that's what we're going to talk about?
If you want.
Nightmare Alley.
If you want.
Okay.
You didn't watch it, though.
I did watch it.
Wow, I watched it.
I watched it on HBO Max, which is our podcast, which is our sponsor today. Thank you, HBO Max, for sponsoring this episode.
If you could refund
HBO
us
Max is
for,
not an official sponsor of this podcast.
Yeah, do we get in trouble if we say that they're a sponsor and they're not?
Well, that's why I just said in the disclaimer that they're not actually the podcast sponsor.
We watched Nightmare Alley on Valentine's night. Valentine's night.
Yes.
Yeah, Luke
Yes,
and I,
did.
It's its own Nightmare Alley for a lot of people.
we were each other's Valentines.
Yeah.
That's so
Damon's
cute.
wife is out of town, so
It's like the first year I've
I had
ever
to step in.
celebrated Valentine's Day. Otherwise, I would.
We had very different Valentine's
It's
days.
true. I would have watched it with you guys again.
Yeah.
Because I want to watch this movie again. I almost did last night and then I didn't.
Why not?
I don't know if I could.
You don't. Oh.
Really?
All right. So thoughts.
Just because of
Let's get
how
some thoughts.
intense it was.
It was-
Like I don't know if I could
you
go through that
can't.
again.
You can't handle like
No.
scary, creepy.
You can't
No,
handle.
it wasn't.
You can't handle it. No, remember we were wanting to watch The Witch. So
Yeah,
bad,
that's
and you-
different though. This wasn't like horror scary.
No, so like
It was.
Thriller.
Obviously there was some gore and there was some.
Wow! Spoiler alert.
If you're watching this
Gore.
podcast,
Watch out.
But no, just the sheer like emotional intensity of it. It felt like one of those movies that you watch once and you just sticks with you, and you're like, I don't really need to go through that again because I was
I
so
want it
intense.
again.
Really?
I
That
want
was
it.
that movie for you? I feel like
that,
it was.
but for me, that's not a bad thing for a movie to be.
Yeah.
For me, that's
No, I'm
like
just
that's like that was a
surprised.
one-time experience movie, and
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Just because
Really?
I just don't prefer to watch really tragic movies over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'll watch it once, possibly twice if there's enough time in between. But like, yeah, movies that are just you're watching a decline of a character, losing everything.
Yeah, the whole time.
It's like emotionally exhausting for me.
Yeah.
Did I give away?
Interesting.
I think I did give something away to you when I told you should watch it. Because when I went into it, I was expecting, fantastical Guillermo del Toro.
Yes,
Like
directed by Guillermo del Toro.
Guillermo del Toro. I was hoping for some creatures. Yeah, I wanted some like creepy, carny creature stuff.
Some
that
creepy
baby.
koalas.
He was freaking obsessed with that baby in
He
a
kept
jar.
doing these-
Yeah,
Oh
he's
my
just-
gosh!
I know what you meant though by you saying that you thought there was going to be,
I was waiting
because
for
even
it.
though I knew there wasn't going to be any monsters, I was like, yeah, I could.
Yeah, it
There's
wouldn't
like
have,
an air of that.
it wouldn't have been surprising if all of a sudden this thing just popped out of a.
Yeah, or if
circus
the
tent.
baby came to life. Like,
Yeah.
Except because of what you said, I was like, okay, there's no creatures. It's gonna be okay.
I was really wanting that, like really badly, but
We're safe.
Pass the
it didn't.
popcorn.
It didn't disappoint.
No,
the
it
second, apparently, the second half of the movie was filmed first,
What?
Wow.
and then they recorded. Then they did the first half. Yeah, this is like a COVID movie, like nightmare
Yeah.
production to like get it done. It took like over 2 years to film.
Oh, I want to know
But,
all the fun facts.
I was just reading it on Wikipedia before the podcast, and I was like, "Oh, that's interesting." But you can tell, right? Like the
Yeah,
second
you
half is a
can
different
tell.
vibe.
Very
Different vibe. It's like a more traditional Guillermo del Toro vibe. The beginning of the movie is like super creepy, and I'm like, "Oh, this is gonna get like so dark, and there's gonna be like deformed elephant man type stuff going on." And I was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
I can't wait! It's gonna be like, the movie Freaks."
How is the second half more traditional Guillermo del Toro?
I mean that in the sense that it like, you didn't feel the vibe of like the dramatization and like fantastical kind of like whimsy come alive the second half. I felt like the first half was very kind of like grounded and like sinister,
Yeah.
which
So
isn't usually him.
I'm not as familiar with his work, so is that more old school Guillermo? Like it was more.
Well, he's done like Hellboy, Hellboy 2, Shape of Water,
Yeah.
Pan's Labyrinth. There's this like fantastical element to a lot of his movies,
Yeah.
and I felt like even though it didn't get fantastical in the second half, it had more of like a old Hollywood. Like it felt more like that's maybe what he was going for when he was making the movie initially, like because it's a remake.
Oh, it's a remake?
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
remake from like a 40s movie.
What?
Which I really want to watch now after seeing this. But I don't know. You didn't feel that? You didn't feel like the shift? I felt like the vibe
There's definitely a
shifts.
shift.
I mean, the story moves away from the
Yeah,
carnival.
yeah. Well,
obviously,
there's
but-
I think there's more of a shift because the first half is so like this is like a carnival, but it's like a dark carnival. Like
Yeah.
it's kind of it's kind of
my
like
favorite vibe. Like
Yeah, it's
I was
kinda
I was
effed up.
literally like, oh, I just want to like eat this movie. Like I
Yeah.
love the first half.
and they
so much.
introduce like such like drastic things so quickly. Like they introduce the geek
Yeah.
like thing so early on
Yeah.
that you're like, whoa, like what am I gonna watch this
Well,
whole time?
You get introduced to Bradley Cooper with him burning down that house, right?
Yeah.
And dragging a body into a hole.
Yes.
He leaves. There's that beautiful setup of like the shot staying the same and like time on the train just like going by really quickly. So you're like, you don't know if it's like a day or two or so that he's just like sleeping on the train. Gets to the carnival. It all happens so fast. You're just like, oh, and then like then the geek.
It was
scene
very quick.
happens. It was just like such a good like pull you in, like no dialogue, really reserved performance. Like Bradley Cooper's usually very expressive and wild, and he was just kind of like like brooding. I liked that. It didn't seem like he was like, not that he overacts, but I feel like he really like he's an expressive guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like a Western
Yeah.
kind of character, the guy who just kind of rolls into a town and he's quiet and everyone's talking around him, but he's just kind of like keeping his cool and taking things in.
That makes me wonder if they back then when they did carnivals, like if they actually did that with a person,
Did what?
like have a geek in there.
Yeah, I'm
Like,
reading.
have
about
a human
Our team's working on it.
who's like a drunkard or something, and then they reel him in and then make him
Why?
eat a live
I don't.
animal.
I wouldn't question that at all. It's not. It's like, it's not a matter of if they did that. It's like how bad was it? To me,
Yeah.
it's like of course they did that. You know, it's one of those things that it's like, people weren't monitoring this the way they would be now.
I know the police is so lame back then. I gotta say, like, I mean, with the technology they had, it's
movie
terrible.
or in general.
I think, well, in the movie, because I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't really know.
Well, the police were much more limited.
Exactly. So, like, he was, like, hiding behind a train. I'm like, they could have, current day police would be, like, on his ass
Oh, do you
right
mean
away.
like at the end when he's running?
No, when he's running away to
Hides
the
behind
train.
I think
Yes.
he did a decent job hiding. He hides behind the chicken coops.
Yeah. The old
Felon's
chicken
not
coop.
impressed.
They
Where's
would-
get the old school
Would you
noir
have found him?
detective on
They,
this?
Let's get those-
They would check.
Get those cops
They would check way better.
trained.
Well, he talks that cop out of when the cop was going to like inspect things.
Yeah, that was funny.
But
Yeah,
that was
it was a
like
good
That was
scene.
him
funny.
using his technique.
Wits.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the core of the story, and was so well done in terms of Bradley Cooper's characters, just his rise and fall.
Oh yeah.
And his like they built those themes so well of like his relationship with the older magician that he learns from,
Yeah.
and just that one little scene where he starts to like tell him about like starting to believe your own lies.
That was probably one of the strongest.
That was so good, and
Scenes, in
it
my
set up
opinion.
his character so well, and then you just see him go through that same journey. Yeah, I thought that was so strong. It's obviously like the central part, and to me, well, you were talking about earlier about like it being sort of a parable. Did you want?
That's how I felt about it. It was like it reminded me of a fairly clear, message in a way. It's like it's clearly showing a reality where living a life of deceit and deception and taking advantage of people has its repercussions.
Yes.
And that's kind of a classic story that you could find in the Bible or other parables. So it had this kind of traditional flow of a story where it's like
Yeah.
almost like a folk tale or a campfire tale that someone would tell. It's
that's
like,
exactly how I felt
well,
about
they
it.
did this and this, and then they met their demise because they lived their life this way. It's like
Yeah.
it was pretty clear what the
But
message
did
was.
he meet his demise or did he fulfill his destiny?
Oh, gross. Yeah, that ending. Oh.
I
That was so
I
good.
was dying laughing during that. Like I knew
Wow.
because it clicked for me before he says it.
Right.
Before
Yeah.
he says,
As soon as he offers him a drink, I knew.
I was dying. I was like, I love this so much. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it just hit. Maybe we shouldn't jump at the ending quite yet. But
Well,
I guess it doesn't
we're
really
here.
matter. It doesn't matter.
Here. It was
Um,
tied up so well.
Yeah.
It was like perfectly foreshadowed and set up like enough so you knew what was going on, but not too much it was obvious.
Yeah.
And then just
Oh my God, and the way how friendly he was acting, he like let him go. He did the perfect formula of what Willem Dafoe character said. He was like, you let him go for a second, and then you say, wait, I think I have a job for you.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
he
It all
brings him
plays
back.
out. It all plays out
And you're like,
exactly the same way.
No.
yeah.
I kind of was hoping for a little more Willem. He's such a
Yeah.
good character. He's
Willem
only
was great.
he's only in it for like a minute.
Yeah. But he
The first
did-
half.
He spent his time that he needed, I thought.
yeah, it was like just
Be in
enough
there.
Willem to like satisfy you a little bit, but also leave you wanting.
Yeah.
All the while you're talking, he's thinking about sobering up, getting the crawling shakes, screaming, terrors. You give him time to think that over while you're talking. Then you throw him the chicken. He'll geek.
Were you guys disappointed by it being kind of just like psychological thriller? Because I didn't. I was surprised by that, but I ended up loving the movie so much that I
Well, I didn't see it as just a psychological thriller. There's obviously some
more to it.
crazy stuff that happens.
Well, we were talking about how much of like a neo noir
Yeah.
film it was, like how noir it was.
apparently there's like black and white releases of it.
Really?
Yeah.
That'd be cool to
Oh.
watch. I mean, the color in it is so beautiful.
The color is insane.
It's really unique.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we could delve into all of the really interesting visual aspects of it. We were talking about that a lot when we were watching it.
The lens choices,
Lens choices and the like. He doesn't
the
cover
movement.
He doesn't cover dialogue scenes traditionally like most would, where there's hardly ever like just a straight over the shoulder shot of the two people talking.
Yeah.
It's almost all wide two shots that are usually kind of close to the action, and the camera is always floating a little
always
bit
floating.
on a steady cam, just slightly. And it's interesting because like that must be hard from an editing perspective to where you never get those awkward like, oh, we've come too far, we need to come back moments.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm wondering how many takes he gets like to really.
Yeah, it's
able
all
to hold
timed
it.
out really
Yeah.
well.
It's all timed out and mostly deeper focus.
Yes, please give me the object.
No, thank you. I'll hold it.
Very well. Master Stanton, what is the object being held by this lady?
Well, it seems it's a night of gold, a golden handbag.
Be quiet, child. Let me ask the questions. What is inside the bag?
Eliminate the background. It's all about the whole world like that you're seeing.
Yeah, it really is. Like it looks very like chaotic and dirty.
Yeah.
And like colorful, but also gray at the same
Well,
time. Like it's
it's-
always
yeah.
cloudy every day that they're at the carnival.
Oh, interesting.
He's asking you to look around and embrace the whole environment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Throughout the whole
And
film.
I think Guillermo del Toro is also like similar to Peter Jackson and like James Cameron, one of the older school directors who really latched on to like digital technology and leaned into like the look of like digital imaging more so than grasping onto or
You mean digital cameras?
digital camera or recreating the film look.
Was this shot digitally? Ari probably.
It
Did you
looks
look
like
up?
it was. Didn't.
I'm
Let me
sure.
look it up.
It-
But
it
it
did
has like when I'm watching it, this and also The Shape of Water. When I watched it at first, I'm like, oh, this has like kind of a very digital like feel to it. But he uses it very purposefully, and then over the course of the film, you start to see like the.
I thought it wasn't like it didn't take me out of it. Like I see actually what you're saying, with it being shot digitally, but it's not like a distracting or obnoxious digital look to me.
No,
like
but it's like super saturated.
Well, almost
And-
every movie is shot digitally now.
Yeah, but
well, no, it's like
it
like
depends.
40, 60, something like that.
40
in terms of
film.
Oh, sorry, I'm thinking like Oscar nominated movies, like bigger movies. But yeah, I guess majority. Digital.
When I look,
majority
I mean,
is digital.
It's
You're
totally
right.
like anecdote. Like I don't know, like if I can say most, but when I look it up,
No, you're totally right.
there's like it seems like the amount of films that are still shot on celluloid is few and far between, like very few it seems. Because there's just certain directors who are purists and they want that.
Right.
Wait, did you say that this movie was shot in film or digital?
We're assuming that it was digital. Are you looking that up?
Yeah, I'm looking it up.
Yeah, I loved the look of it. I thought that it was gorgeous. I did notice the camera work a lot because of that slow creeping kind of wide aesthetic, which it didn't take me out of it. It just made me notice the camera work. You know, where sometimes I just want to be immersed in the story, and I was actually picking apart like the way the scenes are. What was it shot on?
Alexa 65
Yeah.
LF and mini LF.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's got that big full frame look.
Yeah. I guess what I'm saying is that he, with the style and color of the look that he creates, he doesn't try to like recreate that film look on digital. He
Which some
uses digital
artists definitely,
yeah,
and filmmakers.
I would say even like a majority of like cinematographers or people try to do, but he leans more into like a very digital kind of look.
Yeah.
Which to me is like
clean,
really saturated, contrasty, and clean, like in terms of the clarity of it and like the lens choices and stuff. Like, yeah, we were saying, you know, it wasn't
no flares.
No flares, not like anamorphic either or widescreen. He uses a taller frame because I think he wants to show more of the world and stuff.
Yeah. The reason I think that works so well for me is because the environments are real, and anytime he does creatures, they're real.
Yeah.
So I will take.
It's not trying to hide things.
Yeah.
Yeah, or there's not. It doesn't feel like there's a ton of blue screen. It feels like if there is, it's like little bits here and there for set extension. And yeah, I mean, I was expecting creatures in this, but usually he has that, and it's always practical creatures. That's the stuff that means a lot to me, because that's what takes me out of it, is when there's a fully digital character thrown in the real environment, like that, whether it's shot on film or not. That's the thing that makes me go, ugh, you know.
Right.
Yeah. And also the production design coupled with the cinematography, it has a very like theatrical feel to me. I mean, like it feels like sometimes like you're watching a play, like you're on like a stage or a set, sort of like that. I felt the same way about The Shape of Water, but like in a really interesting way, especially with the lighting. Like we were talking about, like especially the scenes with him and Cate Blanchett in her office.
Right.
The blocking, she'll walk to like a certain part of the room, and it's like this
it's always like the
perfect
Morticia Adams.
Yeah, it's like a cut of light.
I love it.
There's a cut of light across her face, like very specifically there, and there's like all these like kind of gobo like lighting effects in specific spots. So the blocking is very particular.
Their conversations, Cate Blanchett and Bradley Cooper's characters, like they're trying to like outwit each other and like dominate one another after he kind of like humiliates her a little bit when she's like, you know, when he does his like elaborate show, and then he predicts somehow that there's a gun in her purse. It's like so ridiculous. Like it's a little bit silly, but it's also like when he breaks it down, you're like, oh well, I mean, are your powers of observation?
Yeah, he
can't really argue
with
that.
Sherlock.
Yeah, he Sherlock's.
He's like, I noticed you were holding it because it was heavy. It's like, how did
that scene is the one where it started to feel like it was like, this is like creeping up to like old school dramatic film, and that's when I was like, yeah, this is a remake. Like it like hit me again. Like, yeah, this is
I
suddenly
never picked that up.
Feeling. Like, go back and watch that scene. Like, it feels different. It feels a little bit like, well, hey, I'm gonna, like, it's a little bit of this, like, look at here, see, this is a remake, see, and we're just doing a little homage here for this.
I hate that I understand exactly what you're saying right now, because you're articulating it just by saying gibberish. But I know exactly.
But the way they speak to one another is like, it's not bad.
That's 50s.
It's great acting. It's great dialogue. It works. But it's just slightly different than the rest of the movie, where I'm like, is this just these characters are so just like, bleh, like, you know, that they embody that sort of like pretentious, like and he's not used to having any sort of rivals intellectually.
Well, you start to see also him just like reaching the peak of his like powers, and also really believing that he's at the top of his game.
I don't feel like he ever, like you were saying earlier, like he almost his downfall is that he believes that he has that power. I actually thought it was interesting that he didn't ever seem like he was like, I fully believe that I have these abilities.
Not in that sense. Not in the sense of like he really,
not like he thinks he's really clairvoyant.
Not to that literally, but just the on a psychological level. He starts this sense of hubris, like starts to take over, and even though he knows he's fooling people, he doesn't have magical abilities. Just the sense of like, I am a
This
god.
untouchable.
Sort of.
Yeah, like he's
Untouchable.
untouchable and
Yeah.
very powerful
Not
over
like
others.
like subconsciously. I mean, subconsciously he's like, yeah, I can do whatever I want. I can get away with this. I can do.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, because I mean, his abilities are like they're especially for like the Joe Schmo of the time, like pretty mind blowing.
Yeah.
Like the
Yeah, he's
right.
clever.
He has a gift.
Yes.
Yeah,
he's
and-
clever.
And so the average person is just like, like
Yeah.
damn,
And then the tricks elevate it to an.
Did you guys like his character throughout?
I knew that I thought his character was interesting, but I wouldn't say that he's a likable character to me, because
But
like seeing a character go through what he went through, he was kind of like warned about him constantly doing this bad
Yeah.
behavior stuff. He was constantly warned by it.
Yeah.
And to me, if like I like characters that change and learn and grow from stuff, and I felt like he just like was like a brick wall with that stuff. He just didn't want to. He just wanted to learn about things that would further just like benefit himself. But
Yeah.
in the end, he thought it would benefit himself, but it actually didn't. It just did the opposite.
I thought there were points which he was likable. I feel like he would have been more likable from the beginning if he just entered into the scene and you didn't see him burn that house down and like drag that dead body. If the first scene you saw was him just getting off a bus and then bumping into this circus,
You don't know the
singing rap.
context of that though.
Yeah, you
Like,
don't, but still you know that
There's some
something's off about
dark
him, something
past.
dark past.
Yeah.
It doesn't make you I thought that as you start to see him kind of connect with like that circus community, like make friends, and then he starts to fall in love with like Rooney Mara's character, Molly. Yeah. He was likable for a lot of like parts of that. I was like, you wanted the best for him sort of, and he wants to run off and start a life with her, and you're like, yeah, and you've got this ability, like you do that. And there's like some dark parts, obviously foreshadowing, you feel questionable, but I felt like there were times where, or you even mentioned as we were watching, like even near the end, you're like, you kind of want things to go well for him, like you kind of want him to.
yeah, there's it did well, I think, with giving you conflicting feelings, because obviously you're with him the whole time. He's the main character, and so you're just proximity wise, when you're close to someone, you have empathy for them, so you can see all that they're doing. But when I said that, I think it was more so like I just like want to see if he can get away with everything. Like it's in the second half, I'm like, I just want to see if he can do it.
Well, for me, I kept looking at the screen and be like, no, don't tell him that you can materialize someone. That's so
I know
stupid.
that was
Yeah, exactly.
this is one of those
Stupid.
movies where I was like talking to the TV
Yes.
a little
Yeah,
bit.
Yes.
Like,
we were.
I'm like,
There were so many points where we're like, no, he's gonna do it. No, don't do it.
it is pretty ballsy to be like, and it's just like, dude, you're asking your wife to get involved with this
Psycho.
total
Very
scam with this
dangerous.
psychopath rich
Yes.
person who's very like.
but who's the
very
real
dangerous.
psychopath?
Well, they're both pretty psychopathic. Like,
Well,
obvi-
because he has like this obsession.
actually,
It's
I don't think
about-
he's a psychopath. I think he's
Yeah,
getting a little too big for his britches
he just
there
he,
by the
he
end.
has this obsession,
Yeah.
and it
He's a
that's
charismatic
why
psychopath.
yes.
don't
And
know,
that's
I
why
don't
it
think he's a
reminds me
psychopath.
of The Prestige a lot, because
I was
you
also
mentioned this.
reminded of the Prestige
yeah,
a little bit.
it has like a similar vibe, but also the main character that you're following around has like this obsession with learning the trick that his then friend, now enemy, has obtained, right? And then Bradley Cooper, which plays Stan. Is it Stan? Stan in this movie, he has just this crazy obsession with manipulating people, and because he thinks it's fun, and because he gets money out of it.
Yeah.
But he does derive, like, you could see that he clearly derives like entertainment from manipulating other people, and he
I think it starts off as something else, and subconsciously turns into like he doesn't say to himself in his mind, I'm manipulating these people.
no, but he does
he's-
admit to Kate Blanchett, he's like, I'm a bad person, you're a bad person.
Yeah, that's true.
We're both bad people. I'm like, yes.
By then,
You
he's
are.
fully in it. Like he's sunk
Yeah,
his
he
teeth in.
knows.
But I'm trying to think like
But he'd
what,
been doing
what's
that for 2
original,
years.
But what's that original thing that like gets him into this path.
The girl, he wants to impress her, and he wants to get her out, and he realizes I have ideas and we could implement them, and I have ideas to make your ability like better and stronger, and then he realizes, oh, I'm actually pretty good at this, and it's convenient because he's got to be running from the law and like just doing his own thing anyway.
Yeah, but there's also something like with his relationship with that older magician where he's like, teach me, and he's genuinely he's also interested in that.
Yeah.
So
yeah, the motivation from the beginning is a little unclear.
Well, no one ever starts off completely evil, and we've talked about this before, but no one ever starts off with like their intention being evil.
But in this story, though,
but then they get a little taste. Well, because well, in this story is also it can apply to this story too, because if you're gonna talk about him essentially murdering his dad in the beginning and lighting him on fire in a house.
Yeah, that is what I was going to talk about.
He thinks that action that he did is justified because he had a terrible relationship with his dad. Mm-hmm. So he's like, well, that's a justified action because he was a terrible person, whatever. So he moves on. And I think
what did you guys get from his dad? Like, what did his dad do to him?
Probably beat him. I know he was a drunk.
Doesn't he?
I thought it was
Kate
I thought it was
Blanchett,
sexual abuse.
Yeah, she
was it his
insinuates.
Dad,
doesn't she mention an uncle?
They don't say it outright.
She asks a question and then he's like, "No, I can't. I'm not gonna."
They were talking about someone else,
right? Like, why would he have that reaction?
No, it wasn't his dad. It was somebody else.
There was some other mentor.
It was like his piano teacher or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I got the feeling that they were beating around the bush of he was like sexually abused.
Yeah.
He wasn't sexually abused by his dad, though.
It does never said specifically.
Yeah, he talks about it with. I would need to see the scene again, but he talks about it with Kate Blanchett, and she's like, your mother was dating someone, right? And I think it was him, the abuser. He was like she was dating somebody, and then she left the dad.
Yeah.
He does start opening up.
I remember it being someone else.
He does start opening up to Kate Blanchett in those scenes pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And it's like...
Well, she kind of pushed him, though.
She pushes him. She does. But it is one of those things where it's like he's so closed off, it almost shows her powers of influence influencing him, but you're almost like, dude, don't... You know these tricks. Like, you're...
Well, she is Galadriel, so she can read his mind. So...
Well, because I feel like
and some things
he sees Kate Blanchett's character as like his equal, so he's like, oh, I guess like I could.
But Kate Blanchett's character is so good.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
like,
she's great.
At the end of the movie, I'm fully on her team. Like,
yeah, I love her.
I was like,
what part? What do you mean?
At the end, like
by the end of the movie,
the end scene when she's like finally shows that like she was never like. She never saw herself as an equal to him. She was always playing him the whole time, and she had, she framed him and then shot him and all this stuff. I'm like shoot, you go for it. I don't know.
you go, girl.
You go, girl.
I thought when she shot him, I thought she killed him. I was like, oh, is that the end?
Me too. And then you see his gross ear.
Yeah.
The violence in this was fantastic. Because they did a lot of things that we've seen before. Someone's face getting hidden, someone getting hit by a car, someone getting shot in the head.
Oh my God.
But the ear falling out, the nose getting busted in.
Oh my God, it was so brutal.
The guy getting run over by the car. Every bit of violence was like so yummy. I was like, this is amazing.
Oh my
God.
What?
So
What? We've seen so much violence.
Like,
you said yummy.
I love it.
When we were watching together, we were
I
both
love
like,
movie violence.
No.
well, I didn't want Molly to die so bad because I was suspecting that she was going into that scene.
That was
so
very
when
Crimson Peak when she's like covered in blood at the end with the white dress. I was like, he loves these visuals.
Yeah.
Yes.
The whole time I was like, what did you think was going to happen? Like, of course he's going to run up to her and then he's going to see her face.
Yeah.
What do you think? He's just going to be like, oh, there she is. Okay, I'm going to bow down and pray.
He thought he would be able to keep him away from her somehow, which I think was so dumb. So dumb.
Yeah. It's like,
I don't think that it was like a dumb choice to have in the movie because I think he was getting carried away and wasn't thinking it through fully because he was so obsessed with like getting it.
Yeah, that's
he starts
true.
drinking.
He starts drinking.
Yeah,
but he already knew he wanted to do this before he was drinking, and he gets carried away. Yeah, obviously.
Probably would have come up with a better plan, like
He
her
was
being up
speaking in
and.
the mic.
Oh, I'm sorry. He probably would have came up with a better plan if he wasn't like getting drunk because I don't know, maybe she
And
could
he
be
was
like
rushed,
showing up
too.
in a tree or something. He's not gonna climb a tree.
What did you think about the scenes?
She's up in the tree.
Yeah, she'd be like up in a tree, and he's not gonna climb the tree.
I don't know if that would have been a better plan.
Why? Tell me it's not a great plan.
You should have listened to me. The tree idea.
Oh my god.
You can't get to her from a tree.
A better
what did you think
plan.
about
Should have been across some sort of
I was
body of water.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
No way.
We should
Oh my
plan.
God.
We could have done.
We should plan like
You guys should be
a
con,
heist.
con artists.
Yeah.
Con rich people.
because
out
we
of-
had this same idea.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
then he would try to like run around. Like, are you talking
But then
about?
she
a
could be
huge
gone by
body
then.
of-
Yeah, we're talking about a river. Or
Better
something.
than your tree idea.
Sorry, you
But
sound
he'll-
like Pinocchio for a second.
But he'll run around the water.
Yeah, he didn't think that through.
And it was so heartbreaking too when, like, Rooney Mara's character, like, when she like runs away, you're just like, yes, like, get out of there, don't be a part of this. And then he catches her, he convinces her. You're like, no, don't stop, don't feed his insanity. And
Yeah, she still loves him. I felt like their relationship, I would have liked more of it. I felt like they
too.
did a good job in the beginning establishing that they fall for each other, but then they kind of jump forward and they're already kind of sick of one another a little bit. And
Yeah.
I kind of wanted to see a little bit more of the filling in the gaps there. Of like, what happened here? Like you sort of, you fill it in a little bit,
Yeah.
but
Even
I felt
just
like
a
she
little-
was a little underdeveloped.
even a little bit of like seeing their rise to fame, like when they moved. I don't know,
Yeah,
was
like
it,
a
was it New
montage
York?
or something.
Yeah.
Like do a little
Oh,
fame montage.
we just had a montage.
Get
Doing magic shows.
It'd be like newspapers spinning.
Breaking news.
Hot new show, magic show.
Hot new fella.
And then some guy on the radio is like, you won't believe these two new performers in town. They're taking the
They're
stage by
taking the
storm."
world by storm.
By storm.
just time lapse of just like money growing. And
Yeah.
like,
He's like drinking and laughing.
yeah, Guillermo del Toro has said specifically like he only gives his characters like what you really need from them. Like he talks about that with Pan's Labyrinth. Like I watched that again after seeing this, and the characters they're not like two-dimensional or anything, but he doesn't really dive super deep with them. Like you kind of just fill in the
Guillermo doesn't have
the rest.
time. That man does not have time.
He doesn't have time to go into the past of
Yeah.
the characters.
He
all
has
right?
got places to be.
I think in general that works really well because I think a lot of movies overdo it and they try to tell you like everything that this character is thinking
mystery
or feeling.
is nice.
The mystery is good, and your mind does fill in the gaps, and it's like a relationship you have with real people, where you don't hear 90% of the things that they're thinking, but you have to read into it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think usually more is less, and what the character doesn't say or doesn't do tells you a lot more than what they do.
And I just get really annoyed by super long movies. I know that's like such a thing to say, but it's true.
Did you think this was too long?
No, I didn't. I was just like I was getting sleepy.
You did
When
watch
I
it.
watched over that.
You did watch it in two
I was getting
sittings.
I did. I watched it in 2 sittings.
Did you stop it right at the halfway point?
Kinda. I thought I could do a little bit more, but I was
That's
getting
one
sleepy.
movie, where you could have a very clean break and it would totally work.
You could put an intermission right there.
But
Yeah.
for an example, like Dune was so. Oh my god, dude, so long, so long. So
Jamin's face.
So I'm sorry.
Once again, my
Slow zoom
slow zoom on Jamin's face. Once again, my favorite film has been shat upon for the last time.
If I hear one more person
If I
talk
hear
about
one
Dune
more
and they say-
mention,
I was like, oh, these
They
visuals
say
are
David
so
Lynch's
cool, but-
version is better.
Oh my god.
did like David Lynch's
I will
version
knife
better.
them.
But
It's so weird. It's
But
so
anyway,
weird that I did.
I thought it was a perfect length movie. It was still like
the climax was so good.
Yeah.
In this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, like he gets shot
I
and you
agree.
think that it's like almost over, and it's just like, oh, it just slams. It's
Yeah.
so good.
It was a perfectly set up situation, and then
And
you
really
can
well
feel that it's all
paced.
gonna fall apart,
Yeah.
and but it falls apart, but not like in the most predictable way.
Mm-hmm.
I know. I thought Molly was gonna die. I thought he was gonna die.
I was very engrossed, and I thought it was interesting too. What you're talking about with his characters, he doesn't give you more than you need ever, and that's very much the case with all the side characters. Like,
Yeah.
no one's revisited.
Nope.
You never go and like, oh, and now
Well, except when they visit later in the movie, like the Carney
but
people.
that was
no,
a
there weren't.
perfectly, like,
There was none
placed
of the previous Carney people there. Was there?
Yeah,
Remember, there's
yeah,
that
yeah,
one
they
scene
came
where
to
they
visit.
come to visit them at their
They
nice
come to
little
visit
guy and the
Molly.
big
Oh yeah,
guy.
yeah,
Yeah.
But that was like a perspective. It was from their perspective.
Sure.
Like they were still there. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no cutaways to those
Yeah.
characters.
Oh, I see. Yeah, but that
But
was
even with
perfectly,
Rooney Mara's character, like you don't know where she actually ended up.
We should count how many times there were foreshadowing of him meeting his demise. There were so many obvious ones to me, personally.
What were you gonna say, Luke?
I just thought that scene was perfectly placed. Little like,
Which one?
the scene where the people
Carnies
from
come
the
back.
Carnies come back. The Carnies come back.
Carney, come back.
You know,
Where that
Carter come back.
What's that actress's name? She had the tarot cards for him and like
Yeah.
that warning.
Yeah.
And he's
She's
like,
amazing.
"No, I'll be fine.
And then he's
Yeah.
like, I fixed it.
Yeah, I fixed it. I fixed it. Yeah, it was like just enough of that scene.
Which again perfectly describes his character at that time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which,
There's a lot of
And
good
it shows the
foreshadowing.
disconnect between him
Yes.
and Molly as well.
which that's one. Foreshadow number one.
Foreshadow number one.
That was like
I mean,
number.
the baby with the
5.
third eye. That's so
Foreshadow
good.
number 2.
How what? What was that foreshadowing?
His blindfold with the eye on it. How he starts
Yeah, the third eye. Yeah, that's true.
he starts being like, oh, I'm look
When
at
he's
look
like-
at my mystical abilities now, and he starts. That's
Yeah,
when he
he
starts.
does the
Then he's
thing.
that's
Yeah.
when he starts doing the things that his mentor was like, don't stop
Yes.
doing that.
Foreshadow number 3.
Foreshadow. No, that was 2.
Yeah.
Well, the number
not
3
a
is
very-
when the
There's a
guy
lot.
is like,
Oh yeah, don't do it yet. Foreshadow number 3.
he's like, people who read this book believe that
yes.
they read the book.
Yeah, the
the
book.
the
If you read the book, then you believe the book.
the one where he's on the train with all the chickens after he's shot in the ear. Foreshadow number 4.
Why is that a foreshadow?
Why?
Because he becomes the geek at the end.
Okay.
Well,
Where
that
he's
Surrounded by the chickens.
surrounded by the chickens in a cage. He's
Oh,
encaged in there. He's
that
trapped.
was kind of
Okay.
good.
That's a
It was
foreshadow.
a subtle one.
all right.
Yes,
Yeah.
not so subtle.
I don't know if, but he has a. He when he shares a cigarette with the geek,
Foreshadow number 5.
he sympathizes
This
with
is how
those
mean.
geek
This is how
characters.
mean my brain is in that moment. When he does that, I was like, oh, does the geek like know how to smoke?
Yeah.
Because I'm
No,
like,
I was thinking
That's
that.
not mean.
I was like, well, it is because I like
You don't know.
I'm
Well, you don't
Is he
know
man
that-
or beast?
You don't know that he's a drunkard yet. You think he's like grown up in the cage at first.
right. I'm like, I'm
Yes.
believing the crap that Willem Dafoe's
Yeah.
character says, and I'm like, well, he's like a wild man. He doesn't know anything.
Yeah.
It's like this
Right.
poor guy is just like been
He
drugged
is
and
so
is, like,
heartless.
brain dead.
Willem Dafoe's
Yeah.
character is like, holy cow, dude!
Yeah.
They just like throw that guy outside of the mission or whatever, and he's like dying. And it's like, leave him! Come on!
Yeah.
And you're like,
Yeah, let's go
"Jeez."
get
I
some
know.
food.
I know.
What?
Well,
that's
if you
crazy.
think
It's-
if
it's
you
a-
think how many times he's done that over and over and over,
Yeah.
and how he's just like numbed himself out with alcohol, and just like that's his
Yeah.
gig. Like
Well, it's another example of someone kind of like starting to believe their own lies.
Yeah.
Like he knows this is a innocent guy that I turn into this geek, but he's telling everyone, "Is he man or beast? Oh, what is he?" But he knows I've done this to make this guy the way he
Yeah.
is. But he starts to, in his mind, he tells himself the same lies, and he's like, "Yeah, I treat him like an animal because he's an animal." even though
Yeah.
you know that
Yes.
he was a regular person.
Yes.
Well, it's the con artist. It's the classic con artist like rationale where it's like they're making all their own choices. You take advantage of somebody who is impressionable
Yeah.
or vulnerable, and you do it in a way that's not ever taking responsibility. And there's something kind of brilliant about that because it's like, yeah, you're not directly forcing anything. You're presenting it, dangling it in front of someone, and they fall for it. And then you're like, they're stupid.
Yeah.
Like they
It's
deserve
not my
it.
fault.
Yeah, they deserve it. Like,
Yeah. Well,
I'm smarter than them, and they suck. And it's like I can totally understand that to a degree. It's like that. Yeah, like you kind of empathize. I don't know. I'm watching it, and I'm like, I don't blame this guy. Like if I had that ability,
I do. I blame the guy.
Look.
I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. I don't think you're saying
I'm not saying
anything.
I think he's a good person.
Yeah, I know. I hope not.
But
I'm
you
not
can
saying
see-
I
hope
want
not.
to do that. I'm saying
Well,
You
now
can
you're
see
just,
how he could start to believe those things and justify.
Well,
it
you're
to
just
himself.
describing a bad manipulative person then, because that's what manipulative people do. They prey on people who are vulnerable. That's what they do.
But they don't tell themselves I'm preying on someone who's vulnerable. They say,
Yeah, they
well, it's their
create
own,
a lie.
It's their own fault if they believe this
of
stupid
course he's
lie.
a manipulative
Yes.
person. I'm saying you can understand his perspective, which makes him a great character.
I mean, I know what his
You're
perspective
watching
is.
it, and I'm empathizing with him.
Yeah.
And I'm on the ride of the story with him. I'm not at when objectively you should be. That's what's so interesting about these types of stories is like objectively you should be like, dude, you are horrible and evil, and I hope all of the like justice comes down and slams on your head. And then when it finally does, it's like so poetic.
Yeah.
Because he gets exactly what was coming to him, and he knows it, and he accepts it, and he actually kind of it's like when you hear like a lot of like actual real world like villains or serial killers or something. They kind of want to get caught. Like there's something to that. Like he almost is like glad in a way. Like when he's laughing, it's like, of course this would happen. You know? And like I just thought that was so great that it's like there's something so poetic, but he's also embracing it. Like, this is where I belong. This is where I've always belonged.
Yeah.
Well,
And he knows it.
A great example though of what you were talking about was when he first has that scene where he tricks the cop and he does that whole thing with him and like reads him, and that's the first time where he really is like putting his powers to use.
Yeah.
And you empathize with him in that moment. You're like, no, this cop is going to take away the whole carnival and everything they've worked so hard to do. Of course he needs to trick him and like stupid cop, like what you know, like it's his own fault if he believes these dumb lies and he's too dumb to pick up on what he's doing.
Well, and he's also giving like it's like that scene where he's like helping the grieving.
Oh my gosh,
mom.
I know.
Yeah.
Great scene.
Oh
Yeah, he
my
tells
gosh.
himself, I'm helping
He's
her.
like, I'm helping them.
Yeah.
I'm giving them closure.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, yeah, I mean, kind of.
Yeah,
Honestly-
and then he kills herself.
Honestly,
I've seen
I-
people do that. I've seen people do things like that. Like, oh, you're like dead person is telling you that. Like, it's just like, you don't know that.
At first,
Yeah.
but
at
it feels
first-
good for the person to hear.
Yeah.
At first, I like agreed with his like
Rationale.
psychology. Yeah, his rationale on that. He's just like, I don't see what the problem is. Just me, just saying that their loved ones are there with them and
Yeah.
they love them, whatever.
Yeah. It's a lie.
And-
but, you know.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I mean, I guess if it's for the sake of somebody having solace, you know, whatever. But then when you see that they kill themselves, I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
that could happen. Like
Yeah.
for sure, that could totally
Yeah,
happen.
and it's just
it's a perfect illustration of like the ripple effect of doing something that is barely, it's like innocent, but it's just barely wrong.
yeah.
And you're like, it's just dishonest enough that you're like, you have to have almost an objective of like, it's a lie, so it's wrong. But it's like, oh, but it's just
Yeah.
like a tiny little bit, and like
Yeah.
you don't know the ripple effect of that, and it's so brilliant
Yeah,
because
and
he's like he doesn't want to like hurt anyone directly
Yeah.
necessarily
Yeah.
with that situation. He's like, yeah, your son is off in a better place, and what's her face, that actress who's perpetually beautiful even though she's, how old is she? Mary Steenburgen.
The
Yes,
mother
She's
from
so,
Elf.
She's so beautiful.
The mother from Elf.
What is she? She's 69.
Yeah, and I love how Stan
when she
just gave a throwaway like a throwaway line. He just said like, "Oh, you guys will join him obviously eventually."
Yeah,
He
and
means
she's like,
when they pass away, and she's like, "Let's do it now then."
Yeah.
Like,
shoots her husband.
Yeah.
oh my god.
The cut of
I've
when
been
she shoots
thinking
herself is
about
so good.
What they said.
Why does she shoot herself right in the eye though?
Because
She shoots herself like someone who's never
she
held
wants-
a gun before.
She
Yeah.
wants
So
to
she
make
just
sure.
grabs it and it's like, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, let's just get this done.
She just wants to make sure it happens.
But what you were saying, Mike, and actually through a lot of the movie, I was thinking about, because I've been listening through Jordan Peterson's 12 Rules for Life, and
Yeah.
just recently listened to the
Yeah,
chapter on.
he's like, tell the truth no matter what, no matter what, no matter what.
Yeah, I'll
He's like,
tell the truth no matter what. Like,
You're like,
if you
"Okay."
if you don't know how to tell the truth, just don't lie.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
just that sort of yeah, you don't know the repercussions of your lies, even if they're the most well-intentioned little lies you can like tell it, like even to yourself. You don't like the truth will always be a better option, even if it seems in the moment like the harder thing. So yeah, it was just such a good illustration.
I think we've
of that,
talked on the podcast before of how I've always kind of fantasized about robbing banks.
yeah.
Yes.
Valid.
Yes.
It's like that. It's like, who am I hurting? Everything's insured. There's like that. Right, I'm not saying I'm actually.
But how do you-
I'm not like. It's not like I've
But
considered.
how do
this
you
for
know?
real.
Because the banks could just like make up a new law and then F people over. And
They
then,
could, but
you
as
know
of
what I mean?
now, if you do your research, it's like there's.
If you do your, have you done?
If you do your
Bro,
research
what?
of what banks and what is there at what time.
Have you done the research?
No, I'm not saying that.
Then
I've,
why
like,
do you know to
considered
do
this.
the research? I would never think to just look all
But
this
if you
shit
do the
up.
research,
I'm just saying. I'm trying to illustrate a point. Maybe I shouldn't make this. Maybe I shouldn't make this,
This is a really
about
cool point.
about. No, I'm just saying. It's just the act. It's like no matter what, they're like the act of stealing is wrong. Even if you're
Yeah.
not necessarily stealing from individual people, everything's insured. No one will get hurt. Blah blah blah. But you have no idea what the ripple effect of unforeseen.
Yeah.
Like you could be as well intentioned and think through every little detail,
Mm-hmm.
but it's just something about it's like the fabric of the universe is being held together, and then you're like, but I just want to poke a little hole in it just for my own gain, and nothing bad's gonna happen.
Yeah.
It's like you don't know that, like, and I love these stories where you're like, there's like the little subtle things that are just like, it's just like a little.
it's like a magnifying
thing.
glass on repercussions of actions.
Yeah. And that's why I'm not gonna rob a
Yeah.
bank, Falin. Okay.
And to
Okay.
me that's
You
like
can do whatever you want. Just
No,
don't.
I can't.
Just don't rob Santander. 'Cause
Now
that's
I
my
can.
bank.
It's fine. You'll get paid back. No, it's
Yeah.
just you didn't grow up with like the. Yeah, never mind. We've talked about this. You didn't have like outlaw like fantasies. Come on.
I
don't
did
wanna be
not
a
have
cowboy.
outlaw
I grew up
fantasies,
on westerns. I'm
but
just like, oh man, it's like
I
that's
did have,
so
like-
romantic.
I did have fantasies of being like a spy, or like
Oh yeah.
not in like
Are you
a
kidding me?
not like an assassin, but
spies still have to do
kind of like a spy.
shady things.
They and I'm okay with it.
I still feel like this. I still feel like the spy genre has not been done to its fullest. Like
Yeah.
I feel that
I think we need more.
I think we need
I think we need a
something
Palumbo
at the.
film.
I think
I really want to make like a really badass spy movie.
I'd
Like,
love that.
I would watch it.
Where-
I think
where can I
Christopher
see
Nolan
that?
was trying to do that with Tenet, but
I watched the beginning scene of that with Ben the other day, just because we were like, we watched this like a long time ago in theaters. Like we were in it, like trying to get into it for the first 20 minutes or so. We watched like the first scene and we were just like laughing. We're like, this is so bad. Like nothing, like all the elements are there, but it's just like so bad. Like
What's
this-
the opening scene?
The opening scene at the
It's so
at the
good.
orchestra. No, dude, watch it again. I'm telling you. Like the first time I saw it, I was like, yeah, I think something's they're not
Alright.
explaining it
I'll
on
watch it
purpose, and
again.
it's gonna make sense and everything. Like it doesn't
Nope.
make sense. It's so pointless. You can't hear anything that's happening. They're like smashing like cellos and stuff, and it's like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm scary. It's like, oh, like, it's
I
so-
just can't. I
it's
can't
so bad.
stand how in that movie you're just everyone's acting is just like introduced with like the characters are introduced and it's as if they've known each other forever, and so that's why I'm confused because the main character meets like Robert Pattinson's character,
Yeah.
and they talk as if they've known each other forever.
Nobody talks like a person in that movie.
Yes, I know. It's so aggravating.
It's all exposition.
It's so bad. I hate that movie.
I do know what you mean.
Let's not
when
do
you
it.
Okay,
Let's
yeah,
not do it again.
we've already done a podcast.
All right. But I will say that I think Nightmare Alley, when I left the theater, I was like, I think that's his best movie. And Ben was
You
like,
said that to me before we watched it.
Yeah, and then Ben goes, dude, Pan's Labyrinth. And then we rewatched Pan's Labyrinth recently, and I stand by my statement. I like it.
Whoa.
I like Pan's Labyrinth.
I haven't seen that. in a
But
while.
Pan's Labyrinth is like 25% fantastical and 75% like depressed fascist state like comes into town, and it's like it's.
And Mike doesn't like
But
any
it's-
of those.
But it's
stories.
better though.
You like Pan's Labyrinth more.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Mhm.
I'm not as pulled in the edge of my seat with Pan's Labyrinth.
No, it's not. It's
throughout.
not an edge of your seat movie. It's just like you sit with it and you like kind of experience that
Yeah.
place, and it's sad. It's very sad. But
yeah, that
Very
ending.
sad.
No, I don't remember. I want to see it again. So don't.
I haven't
I watched
seen
it last year.
You've never seen Pan's
Again.
Labyrinth.
No. Scary creatures. I don't want to.
Oh my goodness.
There's one
it's-
scary creature scene in that move that
No,
show.
no, 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 no.
I
Don't
don't wanna
don't
listen.
give any numbers
Jamin,
or anything.
tell me.
I'll tell you.
I'll tell you.
No.
No, I don't want to
say.
hear what you have to say about scary things. I want to hear what Jamin has to say about scary things.
There's a little bit of scary things, but not there's no jump scares or anything.
Okay.
So it's worth. I mean, there is the part where it's like it's very tense, but
It's like getting tense because you said the word tense. Is there tension in the movie?
Oh my
But-
goodness.
it's
Wow.
nothing. It's nothing more than Nightmare
I mean,
Alley.
Nightmare Alley is way more intense.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can handle that.
But I didn't feel it is intense, but I didn't feel like
The story-
tense.
Luke is so soft and sweet.
No, the thing is like the emotional
I'm playing up the
weight of
character
it.
for the podcast.
yeah.
I'm actually,
Yeah, I
Sure
bet
you are. You
are.
did
I'm
not-
actually a strong man.
You couldn't watch
very
The
brave.
Witch. We wanted to watch The Witch so bad. You're like, no.
we were in the middle of the woods of New Hampshire, Mike.
I know.
At
It's
night.
perfect. It's perfect.
No.
Listen, he's playing up this character, so he has to like.
Yeah,
be
He was
like
playing
that
up the character
outside.
because
he
we
was
knew
really-
we were going to be
yeah.
talking
He was
about
playing
it
up the character
on
when
the
we were in New
podcast.
Hampshire. When we were in New Hampshire, he played up the character.
Exactly.
And
Honestly,
you still haven't watched it.
good acting.
I know.
Honestly,
wow.
The Witch is a good movie. You'd like it.
No.
You wouldn't like it, but it is a good movie.
You don't think you'd like it?
No,
Man, bummer. I think you would.
I don't
it's
think you
great.
would.
I think it's great. Makes you question everything. No, not really. Nah.
No, I know. I know.
I don't want to.
I know everything, so don't need to question it.
Oh God.
I had a random question about Nightmare Alley before, but it'd be kind
I had
of
a random
it would
fact
be
about
jumping-
Nightmare Alley.
Just let.
but it'd be jumping back.
What do you
little
want? A
bit.
question?
But we
or-
talked a little bit about his relationship with his father and some of those flashback scenes and stuff.
Yeah.
Ooh.
What did that side of the story do for you guys? How did it strike you? Did it feel like it added to it? Did it feel kind of thrown in there?
You know
Do
what
you
I
think
felt
do you
like?
think it connected to the core essence of his story?
You know what it reminded me of?
What?
It reminded me of in Dune, where you constantly see cutaways of Zendaya's character in the dagger.
Oh my gosh.
Um,
Here's another shot of
Are you kidding me?
those.
You would bring up
Really
Dune
good-
again in front of me.
Here's the dagger. The same shot of the dagger.
In case you forgot, here's
And
Zendaya's
the-
blue eyes. Because we want you to pay money to see.
She's extra hot this time. The sunset in slow motion.
If you didn't know, she's part of the Fremen.
You paid money to come see Zendaya, so here she is.
We put Zendaya in all the posters.
7 minutes
Yeah.
of Zendaya. That's what that movie should be
But
called.
I thought, yeah, there probably could have been like one less of those flashbacks. But
Are you talking about it, dude? Or
No,
We're not doing a
no,
very good job
June.
of-
There could have been like 40 less of those.
Yeah.
But in Nightmare Alley, I feel like maybe there's like one too many. But I
I
love
liked
this.
those.
The shot of the fire in reverse,
So sick.
was so cool, and I love those kind of cuts where it's like silent, like cut to it, really suddenly, and then you're out of it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
The editing was so good.
Oh yeah.
I want to go. Me.
What did you think?
Okay.
Oh.
What I thought about it,
Yeah.
I love flashbacks. I love them. I love them in this movie.
Jamin eats flashbacks for breakfast.
I put a flashback in every one of my videos.
His videos are actually just
Is
flashbacks.
that all you have to
There's
say?
no,
No.
there's no present moment shots.
Yeah.
No, and
But
more
if
of a
everything's
story.
flashback.
Oh
And how is
my
every?
God.
No, I'm listening. I'm listening.
Nothing's
to you.
present
I'm listening
Yeah.
to.
unless it's a live stream, but it's still a 2-minute delay.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Okay, but so you like flashbacks?
Okay, so
and
From a story perspective, though,
Yes.
cutting back to the house on fire. Well, first off, it just reminded me because at the beginning things were happening so quickly. Maybe I was on my phone too. I don't know, but I just was having a hard time following what was happening. And then I remembered, oh yeah, the first scene was the house burning, and I was like, that's a really solid opening shot, you know. But then going back to it, I thought it was good. But with the what was I gonna say? I think with the dad, it was powerful to me. Like, it added a lot to show his character, and like you always at the beginning you're questioning like why, what did he do? What's his dark past? But then like actually getting a glimpse of it and then seeing the watch, and it's like it just helps tie all these like objects and elements together.
yeah,
And I felt like it was a more interwoven story because you get these the tie-ins of like, yeah, he was pretty like he was doing some evil stuff like right from the beginning. Like that first scene where you didn't actually see what was happening. Well, now you get to see like he killed his dad, and not only that, but he heartlessly. I mean,
Oh my
took
god!
that
And he
blanket away
just freaking opens the window
and
in
takes a
the
blanket
storm. I
and takes the
know.
watch and burns him
And,
alive.
yeah, it's great because in some ways I think it's adding to the depth of like you have a good reason for understanding why he did that, which almost you're like, okay, at least I could sort of
Really, though?
empathize. Sort of like, yeah, if his dad's like abusive and everything, you're like you understand it.
Sure.
Empathize doesn't mean like you sympathize or you think you agree.
I would
It's
totally
just like
do
it's
that.
just like yeah, good for you. Get it. but like you at least are understanding it. But then you're also understanding that like his journey, like you said, it's like he was sort of like walled off from the beginning. Like his
Yeah.
journey, so called, like he was already kind of like poisoned inside, you know,
Yeah.
from the beginning, but you don't really get that piece of the puzzle, and so you get like a little something in the beginning,
Right.
but then you almost forget about it, and you're on the journey with him, and you see like him
Yeah,
kind of open
exactly.
his heart, and you're
And he
empathizing
hides
with him.
his like numbness and callous very well. I mean,
Yes.
yeah, it was a reserved
It gives you
character.
these moments of like when he hands the cigarette to the guy. It's
Yeah.
like these little moments where he's like, okay, he's like a quiet but charismatic guy.
yeah.
And
it all kind of seems like he's trying to help, and he's just trying to find
Yeah.
his place in the world. All these things that are like
Yeah.
relatable,
Yeah.
and then he's just full on like, all right, dude, like, what are you doing? Like, you
Yeah.
don't need money, really.
yeah,
You're like,
Yeah.
what are you doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you just get
it's like
carried
power
away.
struggle.
Yeah, that's what at the very beginning when he first like spends that first night in Willem Dafoe's tent, and he says like, you could get a would you be interested in a steady job? He's like, no one cares what you've done around here, like
Yeah.
that. To me, that's like, oh, the circus is a place where he belonged, and he ends up back there because that's where he belongs. It's like the one
Yes.
place where you can just live there and no one cares who you are, what you've done.
Yeah, he tried leaving. And he shows his true colors in the real world.
Yes.
and this is the result.
Yeah.
Wow, that
And,
is
like,
a great way of putting
full
it. Like,
full circle.
Yeah.
I also love how the world mirrors all of the because he doesn't talk a lot, but it's very visually representative of what's going on in his head and stuff. I mean, like all the carnival shots where it's like themed around sin, like you have that
Yeah.
whole thing. It's like
Yes, I
you're a
noticed that
sinner, and he
too.
looks in the
what have
mirror,
you done? Kind of.
and so all these things are it's
Yeah.
like reminding you like of the depravity
That's true.
of him.
I always loved the whole theme of like old timey carnivals, because when movies or TV shows do that, they always have such interesting characters that always have like really harsh backstories.
Yeah.
Like, have you guys ever seen
It's just such a cool,
the
yeah, it's such a
season-
creepy, cool place. Like, I don't know, I love it.
It is the season of American Horror Story.
I knew you were gonna say that.
Yeah,
I've never seen any of that show.
it's a good show.
I hear so.
You don't know until
know.
you've seen it. Don't make the
I don't know.
face.
I've judged it. I
The
guess.
the circus one is very, very good, and they have a lot of
I thought it was all
interesting
the circus.
characters.
It's not all the circus.
No,
Each
American
season is like
is
a
a
different
different
location.
story, but they use the same actors.
Oh,
It's an interesting
are they
concept.
playing different characters?
They play different characters every season.
Interesting.
Yeah. But they usually bring back the same actors and actresses. So it's kind of cool.
Kind of like
it's-
Black Mirror, but different.
Yes. Yes. And then they have different, like, obviously story arcs and stuff every season. And it's all in different time periods.
I've only seen some of the hotel one, the old timey hotel.
Yeah, Lady Gaga was in that season.
Oh yeah,
She did a good job.
that was scary.
I could see her
That
as
was a
being a
scary one.
good actress.
They do, if you like really disturbing visuals, that is a TV show that has
I
some
don't just like
pretty disturbing
just
stuff.
disturbing visuals. It's like
I
it's
mean,
got to be
the
creative
story
and
is
interesting
also
and story-
creative and very interesting.
Okay, I've heard enough good things about it. Maybe I'll check it out eventually. I don't know.
I don't know, what is his attitude towards
I don't know.
American Horror
I
Story?
feel this. Every time I see it
Cheese.
advertised and
Cheese.
looked, I'm just like, this looks like campy and
Cheese.
like cheesy.
Yes,
cheesy.
couldn't have said it better myself.
All
Do
right.
you think it's cheesy, Jamin?
I don't know.
All right, let's
You've never
let's
seen it?
wrap. Let's
It's
wrap.
not my
soon.
thing.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
We should say if we recommend it, what we rate it, and then also what we got from it.
All right, but before that, how long into the movie do you think it is before Bradley Cooper says his first line? Fun
I
fact
don't know.
for you.
Oh.
I think it's like 15 minutes.
It is, it's
Everybody guess a number.
It's not until he goes.
12
No.
minutes. He
I think he says his first line to Willem Dafoe.
No, he says his first line to the Geek
Yes.
when he.
When-
No way.
Yeah, he does. I think it's 20 minutes.
Did
into
you
the
look
movie.
this up? In
Yeah, I
your
did.
ass? Okay.
It's 11 minutes.
Oh, I
Oh,
said
yeah.
12 at first.
All right, so I
11
was 4
something.
minutes off.
Yeah, you guys are both close.
Wow.
Yeah, because I noticed that because the first interactions he has, he doesn't say anything. He just kind of goes along with it. I'm like, oh, he's going to be like the silent type.
Yeah.
Gonna be like Batman.
Which
I
is
was concerned at first because I thought that he was going to be a passive character.
You thought he'd be like a Ryan Gosling in like a Nicholas Winding Refn movie?
I mean,
Drive.
those characters are fun to watch though. For some reason, I don't know.
No,
They-
I love that stuff.
Yeah.
But it
No, I thought he was just not going to make any decisions for himself.
okay. Yeah, he's just gonna like float.
Yeah.
Well, so what would you recommend it? What would you rate it? And what,
Depends on the person, but I would recommend it to some people. It's a good
What
movie.
would you
It's
rate
well
it?
made. I gave it 7.
it's good. I feel like is there anything else that you didn't cover that like you got from the movie?
Maybe. I can't. I don't think so. I'm on the spot now. So nervous.
I don't know. We probably said everything.
Wait, did you guys say our? Did you guys give your ratings already?
No.
No. What did you zone out for the last 10 minutes?
Well, I just was confused.
Because you started going in. So I'm
Wait,
like,
did
hey.
you guys go already? You're the first one to start.
Luke, what did you think?
It would depend on the person. I wouldn't recommend it to some people.
You wouldn't?
Like, yeah, if they don't like that kind of stuff. If they don't like creepy, intense movies.
They're soft and sweet like you.
Yeah.
If they don't like gruesome violence,
Gruesome twosome.
I just assume everyone likes like
Yeah, but
thrilling.
would you recommend it
for
to
the
your mom?
majority? No, not to my mom.
No,
She
no,
wouldn't.
to Mike's mom.
To Mike's mom?
My
I don't
mom
know
doesn't
Mike's
watch
mom.
movies.
No movies.
No, she watches like 4 movies over and over. Once in a great while, I'll be
Yeah.
like, "No, Mom, you would actually like it." She's like, "Would I?"
But to most people, I think I'd recommend it. I think
Yeah.
most people would enjoy this.
All right.
It's very well made.
I'd give it an 8. Just an arbitrary number. But things like I talked about before, I loved how it's this cautionary tale
Oh, that's a good word. A word,
Yeah,
two
it
words.
just came to me now. I coined it. And
CM that.
it. Oh, I had something else as part of that.
Sorry.
Yeah, cautionary tale.
Threw you
That.
off.
Yeah, to me that's like.
The cautionary
It gets to the. No, it gets to the heart. Stories like that to me play a very important role in storytelling, or I should say,
They're important stories to be told.
That's part of the central purpose of story, I think. So we tell each other some of like these tragic. That's a purpose of tragedies, I should say.
Yeah, is to have like a reference
Yeah, so you can see
psychologically.
someone's life who's gone down the wrong path, and you can learn from it without having to go through it yourself. But also identify it with it and like mistakes you've made in your own life. So I like the cautionary
I
tale
think
part.
we're all going through it. It's just in a different way.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And probably the best performance I've seen from Bradley Cooper. I haven't really before this. I hadn't really seen a movie where I was like, wow.
Really?
Silver Linings Playbook was good.
Yeah.
American Hustle?
I haven't.
I
Seen
saw it on a
haven't
plane,
seen it.
so
Okay.
I have like a not a
Yeah, his
great
performance
impression
in
of it.
American Hustle is next
Okay.
level.
But it was the first time, like, whenever I watch him, I'm always like, yeah, I'm watching Bradley Cooper be Bradley Cooper. But there were moments in this where I was like, oh, he's transforming a little bit, especially that ending shot, obviously, where he's like laughing, crying, and I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah.
That was like Joaquin Phoenix level.
I literally was cracking up because I was just so into it.
I was
It's just
crying.
like, yes. You were crying?
I was weeping.
And then
laughing and crying.
Together, you guys made up what his and the crying is what was happening in the scene. Okay, Alan.
Did you guys go yet?
You didn't.
All right, Fallon.
You didn't rate it.
Yeah, I did. I said 8.
You said 8.
He said
Yeah,
8.
nice.
I'm gonna rate it an 8.3.
Whoa.
Whatever.
I would recommend it to people. And what was the third question I was supposed to
I
ask?
just didn't know if there was something else you got from the story.
The cautionary tale. I learned.
Watch out for that tail.
I learned to all of his mistakes. I learned to not kill my dad.
I learned
learned to
What lessons did you?
not trick
Not-
someone into bringing their wife back from the dead.
I learned to
Fake blood on the hands
not
doesn't work.
bash somebody's face in.
Yeah.
Nothing
Don't-
good.
no,
nothing good
no.
ever comes.
No,
from
no,
that.
no, no. Don't.
Don't trust a psychiatrist.
Yes.
That's what I learned.
I learned to
The-
not cheat on my wife.
Yeah. Don't trust the beautiful, gorgeous
Femme
psychiatrist.
fatale.
Yep.
Yeah, all those like themes,
Those
like
good-
all
really
those like
useful
main
stuff.
story themes.
And honestly,
that, like,
I'm a
movies-
much better person now.
I really think.
Don't
I
read
am.
books is what I learned as well.
So you,
Yeah.
I'm guessing you'd recommend it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I recommend it. To
I
everyone.
think it's funny that you have an 8 point. Yeah, I would give it like an 8.5. But I don't do more than half. You know.
You could give a percentage.
Does it matter?
No,
I'd
I
give
just
it
think it's funny. Like,
20%.
Do you want me to not do that? I can do something else.
no, I'm.
What's
I
done is
just
done.
thought it was funny. 'cause
Done is done.
Sometimes it's like you can't. Yeah, just like the 10th. It's like you need a little half
Okay.
number, and I just think it's funny that you were like 8.3. I'm like, what sparked just the 8.3?
Why?
It's
I
just
give it a
barely
0.
there.
It's
just funny.
0.
No, I get the 8.3.
Yeah, I feel like it was close to a perfect movie, very close to it for me.
Wow. So,
And that's
wait,
with me just being.
If it's close to a perfect movie, why is it 8.5 to you? I'm so sorry.
There are some things that have not yet come.
Wait,
to
did
pass.
you pick up your phone already?
What are you doing?
Her phone's
Started
ringing.
ringing.
So
The most obnoxious
on the
ringtone on
podcast.
the
It just
entire,
goes and picks up the phone.
in the entire world.
I guess we could have left it ringing, but then it would have made noise the whole time. And is everything
Well-
is everything okay?
Yeah, I don't know. I have to call her back.
Well,
All right.
we'll
all right.
reset. Put your
Do you need
put your
to call her
headphones
now?
Back on.
Sorry.
Do you need to call her now?
No.
All right. I just didn't know if there was
And-
something going
Well,
on.
it's fine. Include it.
And we're
Reset.
back. No, I feel like it was like an 8.5 for me. And then I would recommend it to anybody.
Anybody.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's one of those movies
Would
that
you
if
recommend
it's
it to the Pope?
surprising for someone at, like by the end, it's like that's a good thing, you know.
Yeah.
Because it does turn into a thriller, and that like I think it's more fun to recommend like a mystery movie to somebody, and just like totally like wreck their world if they aren't ready for that, you know. But we've talked about it in depth
Well,
in
it's
this
not
podcast.
going to wreck their
Funny.
world if
That's
they
what I'm saying. If they listen to this
podcast.
podcast and I recommend it, you know what you're in for. We talked about this crazy stuff. But I
You need a big spoilers thing right on
everything's spoilers, you
on
know.
the thumbnail.
But I don't know. I felt like it was like you can't. I
You're
got from it
compelling
like
me.
you can't run from the darkness in your unconscious mind, because I felt like the point of it was that we're all going through some sort of darkness, and we have that, and to, you know, he's sort of like, I would say in some ways he runs from it, in other ways he embraces it, but he kind of just, it's almost like he avoids taking responsibility, and he avoids how the darkness that's affected him really has eaten him away. He ignores those parts of himself, and then they manifest in these other outwardly, you know, twisted ways, and he doesn't care. You know, like that's kind of like what I got from it, and I thought it was a perfect illustration of that, and like I thought it was like beautiful how it comes full circle, and it's almost like, yeah, that's what you get. You know, you get to be the geek, like because you didn't deal with your problems. And I thought it was funny. I don't know. I thought it was like really funny in like this really twisted way. Like it was obviously a very serious, intense, like morbid story, but I loved that ending so much. It was so satisfying.
It was a great ending.
It was like so satisfying, and because you don't want him to necessarily die, you don't want him to just kind of like go to jail. There's something.
Well, he
there's
gets
something-
exactly what's coming to him.
Yeah, it's great. It's perfect.
It couldn't be more
Poet.
wrapped up and
Yeah.
poetic's a good word. I was so sad for him. I was like, even with everything he did, I was like, it's just insane to see that character, and it's so well written. Like, to know what his fate is and to not run away from it at that moment.
He chooses it.
Yeah, he's like, that's all he wants is just to like drink. That's literally his only motivation at that point. He's so lost. So he's just
It's the
like,
best he's gonna get.
wow.
That's the best thing he's got going for him. That's what's so funny about it, and it's so like sad. It's so messed up, and he
Yeah.
knows it. And he's like, "It's all right. I'm the geek."
That's insane.
So good. Yeah, I loved it. I absolutely loved it.
Mister, I was born for it.
And it was kind of like one of the first moments of reflection or self-realization for him. It's
Yeah.
like he
And
finally...
it's too late.
Yeah, it's too late. He could have done it so many times.
know.
He had other voices there telling him, hey, reflect a little bit. Think about what you're doing.
Foreshadowing him.
Okay, all done.
Nice.
All done.
Well-
Bye, everybody.